Chapter 17. The sudden arrival of a newly discovered cousin. "Are you sure this is going to work?" whispered Walter. His voice sounded quite muffled. It sounded muffled because he, Clara, Fritz and Queen Victoria Sponge were each curled into tight balls and wrapped up in foil wrappers. They were disguised as fallen fruit gems. "I hope so," whispered Clara. "It's our only chance of sneaking past Manchego without being spotted." Walter made worried noises. "Oh dear," he said. "I'm not very brave at all, am I really? And I was useless at looking after the magic golden key." Clara slipped a hand out from her foil cover, found one of Walter's and gave it a jolly good squeeze. "You've been very brave, actually," she said. "And you've led us here brilliantly. It's not your fault about the key. That was the Mouse King and his shenanigans. We are going to sort it all out right now." That made Walter feel better, and he and Clara repositioned themselves under the foil wrappers. "Okay," said Clara, and she would have pushed her specs up her nose if she hadn't been curled up into a ball. "Ready, everyone?" "Ready," hissed Queen Victoria Sponge. "Ready," squeaked Fritz. "Ready," murmured Princess Ricotta. "Ready," whispered Humphrey Walnut. I think so," murmured Walter. "Good," said Clara. "Let's go. Good luck, everyone." And they set off. Over and over the pretend fruit gums went as Princess Ricotta and Humphrey Walnut rolled them towards the gates. They were stopped as soon as Manchego spotted them. "Halt! Who goes there?" he shouted. Quiet as, well, a mouse, Clara poked a hole in the foil wrapper surrounding her and had a little peeky pie through it. Manchego was all of a fluster and was pointing his loaded catapult right at them all. Clara held her breath. The seconds ticked by. "Oh," continued Manchego, relaxing a bit. "It's you, Ricotta. What are you doing here?" Ricotta padded forwards. "I've come to help," she said, and her voice only sounded a little bit wobbly. "Help all of you, in fact. And we brought these fruit gums too, in case they might be useful for our shenanigans." When she said shenanigans, she gave her brother Manchego a big wink. He giggled devilishly. "Oh yeah," he chuckled. "Our big shenanigans." And then he giggled again, but stopped abruptly and squinted at Humphrey Walnut suspiciously. "Who is this?" Manchego growled. Humphrey went a bit pink around the whiskers and his mouth flapped open and closed. Luckily, Princess Ricotta came to the rescue. "That's, a mental," she said quickly. "You're our cousin, aren't you, Mental? Just visiting for the holidays." "Oh, yes," cried Humphrey, catching on. "I'm your, cousin. I'm definitely not a squirrel, if that's what you're thinking. No way. I'm a mouse and I love cheese. It's definitely much better than almonds and walnuts and peanuts and cashews." And from inside her disguise, Clara nudged him to stop him talking. There was a moment of tense silence. Everyone held their breath. From her spy hole, Clara watched as Manchego eyed Humphrey up and down very, very slowly. Then, to her relief, the mouse eventually nodded. "Oh yeah," he said. "Our cousin." Princess Ricotta nodded to Humphrey, and they both pushed the pretend fruit gems through the gates and into the kingdom of sweets. "Where did you say Papa and Roquefort were?" asked Princess Ricotta casually, knowing full well that her brother hadn't said anything about their location at all. Manchego pointed vaguely into the kingdom of sweets. "In the main square in front of the palace. You can't miss it because it's a huge square. They're setting up our big trap." He giggled again. At the words "big trap," Clara felt herself prickle with worry inside her foil wrapper. Outside, Princess Ricotta thanked Manchego and then surreptitiously eyeballed Humphrey. The look said, "Quick, get a move on," and together they frantically pushed the rest of their friends up the mint-humbug cobbled streets as quickly as they could. Inside her disguise, Clara puffed out a long breath. Oh, her plan had worked. They'd tricked Manchego. Suddenly, a voice rang out from the gates. "Hang on a minute," Manchego yelled. He sounded suspicious. Princess Ricotta and Humphrey Walnut halted their rolling. "Yes?" stammered Princess Ricotta. "How did you know we were here?" said Manchego, narrow-eyed again. "And not at home in Fort Fromage?" Princess Ricotta's mouth flapped open and closed. She said, scrambling for an idea. She couldn't give the game away, but what could she say? "Easy," beamed Humphrey, diving to the rescue this time. "We followed your footprints in the snow." "Oh, yeah," said Humphrey, slowly nodding. "Our footprints." Humphrey sighed happily. "All right then," he chirped. "See you later." And he turned back to face the striped tree forest, with his catapult aimed at imaginary intruders. Clara couldn't wait for any more thoughts to trouble Manchego. Time was running out. They'd snuck through the gates, and now it was time to find the Mouse King and the Sugar Plum Fairy. She threw off her disguise, and the rest of her hidden friends followed her lead. Then they all set off as speedily as they could into the Kingdom of Sweets. At the gates, several long